Hi y'all, it's me again. I'm gonna do a couple more Reddit stories because that's what you guys seem to like more. So anyway, this one is called "Am I the butt for revealing to my dad's wife the reason why me and him were never close?" My dad practically gave me up to his sister from the moment I, a 27-year-old male, was born. My mom died when she was giving birth to me, and my aunt told me he never recovered from that because he blamed me for her dying. For her lives of kids that had family events, he ignored my existence. When I was a little older, he got more vocal about me killing her, and he can't stand to look at my face. You can imagine the amount of therapy that put me in. I used to go to church crying because I was scared about going to hell for doing that to my mom. That's how much his words effed me up. But the crappy part was that I never stopped trying to be accepted by him. After my high school graduation, he told me to never bother him again since he legally has no obligation to me anymore, since he was sending my aunt money to take care of me. Around that time is when I finally started accepting the reality show. From there, we moved on with our lives. My aunt doesn't talk to me about it. Sometimes my grandparents do, and that's how I found out he got married. They were mad he didn't invite me to their wedding, but to me it didn't matter because we're not close. But it was his wife who wanted to meet me. It's the first time ever that he wants to make contact. It was to pretty much say she wants me in their life. She doesn't know the real reason about why we're estranged. He asked me to please not say anything, and maybe this could be a way to reconcile after all. But he was only doing it for her. That much was clear when he talked. I never said I would be. He still insisted on us meeting at their place because she really wanted to meet me. All she thinks is we were estranged for not getting along in my teenage years. Going to college and losing touch because of life stuff. It pissed me off that he played it off as us just not talking for a petty reason. Meanwhile, the actual reason damaged me for years. I told her the truth. Everything he said to me. That he was never a parent to me. That was all my aunt. It was definitely a shock for her. The outcome was a disaster. Everyone has heard about this now. My grandma in particular told me she understands my English, but this was his chance. Finding someone since losing my mom now has been put in jeopardy. My dad is devastated. They think it was going too far to ruin his marriage that way when he was willing to include me in their lives, which could have been the start of our relationship. And they say not only did I ruin that, but also possibly wrecked his marriage. She just doesn't agree at all with what he did, and it could have been avoided if I didn't say anything. For me, it was hard not to tell the truth after the lies made it seem like it was not serious. I couldn't ignore what happened after what it did. I don't know if it was the right call since it put their whole marriage at risk after all. No, you did the right thing. You're not the butthole. Like this Redditor called unpopular kryptonite. Love it. Dude, not the but. Your dad's a grade A double cheese butthole from hell with a special topping of assholes served with assholes with butthole sauce. He deserves every bit of what happened to his second marriage because he presented himself as a different person than he is. I'm sorry you had to go through this. I wish you strength and may you find more people who love you unconditionally. Hope he replied to that with thank you. With the hand prayer emoji. And don't worry, I have my aunt has been the best parent for me, and she always tried to shield me from his stuff as much as possible. I don't know if I would have made it without her supporting me. Now let's go on to the update. Let's see what the update says. Final update, 11 days later. Words can't express how much it meant to me getting so much love from my last post. Everyone who supported not just my actions but also acknowledged the hurt. To all The sweet internet moms who commented and DM'd me, y'all know how to make someone feel loved, even by total strangers, lol. And so many people want an update, here it is. It's a little heavy, and for a couple days, I needed some time to process it and do some crying. This player heard it first from my grandma, then from his wife, or I guess ex? She was legit crying on the phone when she called to tell me sorry for putting me in that position. Her and my dad had a longer conversation where he told her everything else he did, so she made that decision. She can't stay with someone like him, and she wanted me to know how disgusted she is. Also, to tell me things which is something I really needed to hear. My dad is who he is, yeah, but regardless, two people splitting their marriage because of what you say is a hard thing not to feel guilty about. This lady is heartbroken, going through divorce just a few months after getting married, and she wanted to make the time to reassure someone else that they made the right choice. Unexpectedly, though, my dad wanted us to talk yesterday, too. My girlfriend again didn't want me to. Trust me, I get her point. She's the one who didn't want me having dinner with them in the first place. For one thing, we didn't know what he wanted to talk about, and what would that do to my mental health. It's probably a bad risk to take, but I met him. And yeah, I used to listen to my girlfriend more often when it comes to this stuff. First time in my life, I think we had a conversation about my mom. How much he loved her, them being happy and excited about having family. But then she died. He told me, if it's wrong, he can't ever not blame me, because simply, if I hadn't been born, she'd still be here. He's only sorry for not completely staying away from me and saying horrible things growing up. While he was saying this to be malicious since he seemed sincere, it was still an ouch for me. In the end, we decided that having a relationship with each other was never going to happen and said goodbye. He at least apologized for trying to put me in that position. First good thing he ever did was tell me what happened was his wife wasn't my fault. I just went home and cried. I had my day to process, a short therapy session, and support from both my aunt and girlfriend to get me through. The rest of my family is leaving me alone at least, so glad that in the end it was resolved. Not totally happy, I know, but in the end it's better this way. Wow. Yeah, his late wife would be ashamed of him. Honey, you're blaming me? You're blaming what happened to me on our son? F you! She would also want to break up with his ass. I mean, like, who wouldn't? But it is what it is, so I'm glad that everything worked out in the end, I guess. Sad that he won't have a relationship with his father, but he was never allowed a relationship with his father in the first place. My sister orchestrated a. This one's called. My sister orchestrated a family intervention to get me to leave my partner of 4 years. It's been sitting in my dress for 6 months now. I, a 25-year-old female, met my partner, a 29-year-old male, in 2020 while I was finishing my undergrad studies, and we were both in the same field. Our first conversation was deep about our personal philosophies, culture, faith, and our views on the world. And we quickly realized that our values aligned so well. He's funny, attentive, smart, talented, and ambitious, and I was so in love. I still am. We made it official 2 months in, and low key, we both knew we wanted to marry each other already, but of course we didn't rush as we were still finishing up school. We had the same religious background, but not the same ethnicity. And for this reason, both of us were nervous to tell our parents about our relationship because we didn't know how they would react. Most ethnic parents would want their kids to keep it within the culture. But from what I know, they may be stubborn at first, but will come around eventually. Right? For me, ethnicity is a non-issue. We're both religious, so having the same faith is more important in my opinion. I thought my parents would think the same because as they're so religious too, then they shouldn't place their cultural values over their faith. Anyway, My partner didn't wait too long to tell his parents. They and his siblings were very supportive and welcomed me with open arms. I, on the other hand, hesitated for the longest time because I really had no idea how my parents would react. I'm a bit fearful of them, and honestly, my relationship with my parents isn't that close. Of course, they're caring and all, but not in an emotional way where I could come up to them and be vulnerable about something. Definitely not my dad. This is where I'm at fault because even if it was hard for me to be honest with them, I should have just done so instead of hiding my relationship from them. My siblings knew before my parents. They didn't care, but my sister, 29, on the other hand, being the eldest, aka the third parent, was too passionate about it and advised me to just end the relationship because an interracial marriage is going to be complicated. But that's not the advice I needed, and I didn't want to just end the relationship either. I truly believe he's my soulmate. Her entire attitude towards it was kind of just, I gave you my 2 cents. I don't want to be involved in this mess. I think it was a year into our relationship, and my mom found a birthday card for my partner in my room. She found my stash of greeting cards from her and read them all. She confronted me with them, and she wasn't even mad, but when I told her about his ethnicity, she freaked out. She made me tell my dad, and he just loathed in my face and didn't even let me talk. It took a couple of days for my mom to calm down, because honestly, she really was overreacting. The conclusion was that they ain't happy with the relationship and wanted me to end it. I didn't want to, of course. It was swept under the rug, and for the next 3 years, my partner and I continued our relationship and even went on some trips together. But my parents were in the dark about the specifics of it all, which, of course, the dishonesty is very wrong. But in my mind, they didn't create a safe space for me to be honest with them. I couldn't just tell them, "Oh, hey, I'm going out for dinner, and he's going to be there. Bye, I love you." The conversation about us would only be brought up occasionally in those 3 years because at this point, me and him are ready to get engaged, and we just needed my dad's blessing. It would always end in an argument, feelings hurt, and no blessings given. They refused to even meet. I'm still being patient, holding out hope that my dad will come around or something. By mid 2024, my dad hadn't probably spoken to me in like 2 years, but my mom, on the other hand, is a lot more understanding. I wouldn't say she's supportive, but understanding at least. In her words, she just wants to help me avoid an unsuccessful marriage because in her mind, interracial marriages just don't work. But if I'm so sure about him, then she'll be by my side, and if it fails, she'll be there with open arms. My parents are traditional, but she's always been the more level-headed one between them besides that freak out the first time. Now, the catastrophe. End of 2024, my sister suddenly stepped in and asked me to meet my partner. She's my dad's favorite, and if there's one person that could sway his thoughts, it would be her. So this opportunity excited me and my partner because it finally felt like there's light in the end of this tunnel. We have been patient, but the stress of all this is starting to put a strain in our relationship, especially in the last 2 years. But we loved each other a lot and didn't want to let go no matter what, and we would always work things out with communication. Sister and him met up and talked for hours. I wasn't there, but it went well, and he left a good impression on her, and she said she'll talk to my dad. Side note, him and I discussed before that we don't need to disclose how many times we saw each other or what trips he was involved with. We know the dishonesty in him was wrong, but we felt like we were entitled to that privacy at the very least. He's the type that loves honesty and just says, F what people think. I just didn't believe honesty works with my parents, especially my dad, because he's someone that's very critical and will shame you for your different values, beliefs, whatever. Now I thought things were dandy from here on, but my sister was acting weird, distant, and when I would ask her what's wrong, she would just brush it off. 3 weeks of this passed, and it's a new year now. My mom sent me off to do some errands for her. At a suspicious time of the day, and I really felt like something was off. I come back home, and my parents and siblings are all in the living room telling me, "Sit down, we need to talk." My heart dropped. I'm sorry this is not very detailed, because honestly, that event was so traumatizing. They said they hired an investigator to find out everything about my partner and what our relationship entailed. That was a lie, of course. My parents didn't want to admit it was my sister that went through my device and then looked through all my messages and emails and ransacked my timer. She probably admitted to it later. And from their findings, they concluded that he's a liar, a gaslight, and a manipulator, and I'm a victim of this relationship. They said they found out about all our dates and trips and are holding him accountable for it. That I was forced to lie and do things against my will, and that him showering me with gifts is just a way to manipulate me. A lot was said, and I just felt embarrassed and humiliated. It was 6 against 1, and I couldn't say anything to defend myself or him. I felt like I was being stripped naked as they went on and on and on about what they uncovered, whatever conclusions they drew from them. Him and I are semi-long distance, so most of our talks are through text. So for them to read everything, like my vulnerable side that I only felt comfortable showing him, our intimate conversations, our arguments, where we both showed some really ugly sides of us, it just felt so invasive. They claim he's putting a wedge between me and them, and that I was ruining the family peace. They wanted me to feel shame, and it worked. In the end, I was given an ultimatum, and I felt like I had no other choice but to just agree with him and leave him. I was numb. They made me block him, and my sister texted him that we're over and threatened to file a restraining order if he were to come near me. He didn't answer that text. I was numb and I couldn't even cry anymore. I surrendered. I couldn't even fight anymore. At that point, I was just nodding and agreeing to whatever they said. The following days, they were so nice to me because I was a good daughter and I complied to them. And they were the heroes that saved me from a toxic man. But I'm on house arrest and on close watch. I had to hand over my phone when they asked, so that they make sure I never reach out to him. My soulmate was ripped away from me, and I didn't know what to do. 2 to 3 weeks later, I woke up a little from my numbness. I was angry. I was angry at my sister for betraying my trust. I was angry at my father for being so bigoted. I was angry at all of them for invading my privacy. I was angry at the entire situation because it's not my fault. They never gave me the support and comfort to even be honest with them. I made mistakes, but I blamed them for it. I cried to my mom about it, and I told her, "Y'all know I don't care if you guys think he's a bad person. I would rather learn out on my own than to be forced to leave and regret it my entire life." They treat me like an effing kid. I told her I'll always be angry at them for what they did. She wanted to talk to my dad again and tell him what I told her. She told me I should just proceed with marrying my partner against their wishes and accept my consequences. She told me she'll be by my side. Before I talked to my dad, I sent him a letter through text. We're both non-confrontational people, so I felt like this would be a good way to express my feelings. I apologized deeply for everything. I clarified that I never meant disrespect to him or my family members. I put anger aside for this letter because anger doesn't work with a stubborn man like my dad. I tried to be vulnerable. I tried to tell him that all I want is their support and trust in me. My dad didn't give an answer to that letter, but he forwarded to his sister, and she blew up on me by text and called me a manipulator for sending that letter. Her words were so nasty. She had never made me cry as much as she did back then. My dad came to me afterward to talk, or rather yell at me. I had never cried so much. Whoever that was in front of me wasn't my dad. I never knew he could be so cruel. He threatened to leave my mom and tear his family apart if I chose to be with my partner. I'm broken and numb, and I never felt so alone. I don't know what to do. Update. 2 months later. Hi guys, I really do apologize for a late update. I really did not expect my post to get that many replies, but I'm so grateful for all the advice you guys gave me. Thank you. When I wrote that first post, I was all emotional and depressed, so freaking it now, even I could sense the "oh, poor me" tone. January me was probably expecting lots of sympathy or whatever, but you guys were harsh, and to be honest, I needed to hear that. You guys are completely right. All what my family did was evil and wrong. My life is in my hands, and it's my fault for not stepping up for myself and my partner. I can't keep expecting things to be done for me. I want to make this post to clarify some things and update you about what has happened since January. It may not be the most satisfying update, but I at least have changed a lot since then. First of all, I am still in contact with my partner. Yay! I don't blame you for assuming otherwise, since that post was uploaded months later, so I was pretty confused. When my family did the whole thing of make me block it everywhere and take my devices, basically threatening me to not talk to him, that lasted maybe 3 days. It was in the middle of the night. I was crying hard because I missed him, but also because I'm here alone, extremely heartbroken. Just wish that someone would hold me and show some sort of real care towards me. And while I'm going through, and I realized, wow, my family really doesn't give a f about me. Like, at least check up on me when they would. It was more of a just making sure you know your place type of check-in. So I reached out to him and told him everything. There's a lot of I told you so. And I really do give him a lot of credit for putting up with my BS. My entire life I was trained like a monkey, as one of the comments said, to be obedient for a literally minimal reward. And I thought if I was just gentle with my approach and it still did everything they wanted from me, I would get what I wanted in the end, because I earned it, right? No, and this is not a unique experience, unfortunately. This is so common to people in many cultures, because parents, for some reason, believe they are entitled to make choices for their adult children. My partner was understanding and helped me finally to see that the environment I'm living in is toxic and abusive, and no amount of obedience and kindness was going to make them respect me. I've been getting therapy for months now, and shocker, it really helps. I'll always question what I did wrong and how I can approach them differently to get different results. I'll always question why my sister would betray me like that. I'll always question why my father would tell me I deserve to be hurt. And so many other questions, but I've let go of caring for any sort of answer now. I've let go of the idea that I need any approval from it. I've let go of ever having a civil conversation with them. I've let go of any expectation. I still live with them, unfortunately. I don't talk with my dad, and I don't talk with my sister. I keep things cordial with my mom, but I don't trust confiding in her anymore. Because at the end of the day, she feels the need to side with her husband. Her 6-year-old man-child of a husband that has been verbally abusing her for years now and throwing tantrums anytime things will go his way. But instead of making him aware of himself, my sister and mom just choose to give him what he wants, no matter who it hurts. I still have 2 years of education with no income. I need this degree in my career, so it wouldn't make sense to drop out temporarily. But I'm working on trying to find something on the side to depend on and move out as soon as I can. Tara is saying he should leave me. I agree, any man would have. Good thing he's an angel. Wow. I'm gonna follow this woman because I want to be updated. She has since moved out. I know this was September 20th of 2025 for the update, but and it's and it was updated yesterday. But I want to keep in the loop of if like November or even sometime next year she is finally able to move out. Wait till she said 6 hours ago, if he's not paying for anything, why do you need to live there? OP said just figuring out logic, and I don't want to get into too much detail where a certain devil might come along and sabotage things in. I'm taking out loans for school. I'm not necessarily waiting to graduate to get married, but it was an arbitrary deadline we placed for ourselves because things would certainly get easier afterwards. I could just find a job in another city in GTFO, but of course, the sooner the better. I looked into moving schools, but that would mean starting over because my field of study is not transferable. Rent is expensive, and need to figure out a way to fund that. Him and I are from different cities hours away, so I can't move there. Move to a friend? I truly don't trust what my family is capable of anymore. I don't need to subject friends nor their families to these masks. But just to be clear, I live in their house, but I don't rely on them for spendings, and I haven't for the past 5 years or so. I had a full-time job before, and I used the small amount of savings I had to keep myself afloat, but it's not enough to rent. There's a minor surgery I need to do, and I've been postponing that just because I don't need them stepping in and paying for it. The last thing I need is another favor from them. They will surely hold that over my head and call me ungrateful. Wow. And Quasar said, the point is you are financially dependent on them, hence his money. They're paying for your housing. OP said, look, I agree, but there's a clear difference between them paying for my housing versus I simply exist in their house. I'm not living in a fancy apartment that they're paying for, nor are they paying for my school, nor any of my spendings. My presence or not is not making any financial difference in their lives, and it was extremely important for me to get to this point. I don't have the means right now to pay rent, but I'm figuring things out and I'm packing my crap up discreetly in the meantime, so that when I do find the means, I'll be out of there. And then Quasar said to that, there's really not difference, but if that gives you some sort of peace to tell yourself it's your life. I mean, like, I don't know where this is taking place.